Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Today we are going to study the topic deforestation and its impacts. Before presentation, I would like to introduce myself. I am Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. I have completed M.Sc Agriculture with a specialization in Agronomy from Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Uttaranchal in 1996 and presently associated with seed industry. So let's proceed to the presentation. What is deforestation? Deforestation is the removal of a forest or a stand of trees from land which is then converted to a non-forest use. Deforestation can involve conversion of forest lands to farms, ranches or urban use. In other way, deforestation is the conversion of forest to an alternative permanent non-forested land use such as agriculture, grazing or urban development. Deforestation is the clearing, destroying or otherwise removal of trees through deliberate, natural or accidental means. It can occur in any area densely populated by trees or other plant life. Deforestation refers the clearing or thinning of forests by humans. Deforestation is primarily a concern for the developing countries of the tropics as it is shrinking areas of the tropical forest, causing loss of biodiversity and enhancing the greenhouse effect. Forest degradation occurs when the ecosystem functions of the forest are degraded, but where the area remains forested rather cleared. As forests are concerned, forests still cover about 30% of the world's land area, but they are disappearing at an alarming rate. Between 1990 and 2016, the world lost approximate 5,02,000 square miles, which is 1.3 million square kilometers of forest according to the World Bank, an area larger than South Africa. Since humans started cutting down forest, 46% of trees have been felled according to a 2015 study in journal Nature. About 17% of the Amazonian rainforest has been destroyed over the past 50 years and loss recently have been up to the rise. Deforestation represents one of the largest issues in global land use. Estimates of deforestation traditionally are based on the area of forest cleared for human use, including removal of the trees for wood products and for croplands and grazing lands. In the practice of clear cutting, all the trees are removed from the land, which completely destroy the forest. In some cases, however, even partial logging and accidental fires thin out the trees enough to change the forest structure dramatically. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) estimates that the annual rate of deforestation is about 1.3 million square kilometers per decade, though the rate has slowed in some places in the early 21st century as a result of enhanced forest management practices and the establishment of nature preserves. The greatest deforestation is occurring in the tropics, where a wide variety of forest exists. They range from rainforests that are hot and wet year round to forests that are merely humid and moist, to those in which trees in varying proportions lose their leaves in the dry season, and to dry open woodlands. Because boundaries between these categories are inevitably arbitrary, estimates differ regarding how much deforestation has occurred in the tropics. Now to study the importance of forests. Forests cover 30% of the land area on our planet. They help people thrive and survive by, or for example, purifying water and air and providing people with jobs. Some 13.2 million people across the world have a job in the forest sector, and another 41 million have a job that is related to the sector. Many animals also rely on forest. 80% of the world's land-based species such as elephants and rhinos live in forests. Forests also play a critical role in mitigating climate change because they act as a carbon sink, soaking up carbon dioxide that would otherwise be free in the atmosphere and contribute to ongoing changes in climate pattern. But forests around the world are under threat, jeopardizing these benefits. The threats manifest themselves in the form of deforestation and forest degradation. Now, if we will see the summary, the forest provide habitat for animal and livelihood for humans. They cover around 30% of the world land area. 20% of the world's oxygen is produced in the Amazon forest. Trees are important components of the ecosystem by absorbing carbon. More than 25% of the medicine we use come from forest plants. Forests provide watershed protection, prevent soil erosion and mitigate climate change. So these are the importance of forest for human and animals and climatic condition maintenance. Now we will go through role of forest. Forests are playing very important role in different aspects. Like first one is biodiversity. Over 80% of the world's terrestrial biodiversity can be found in forests, from the pine trees in the boreal north to the rainforest in the tropics. The degradation and loss of forest threaten the survival of many species and reduce the ability of forest to provide essential services such as clean air and water, healthy soils for agriculture and climate regulation. After that, role in sustainable livelihoods. Healthy forests support the livelihood of 1.6 billion people globally, 1 billion of whom are among the world's poorest. Deforestation and forest degradation have real and tangible impacts on the lives of these vulnerable communities. For example, 52% of all land used for food production is moderately or severely impacted by the erosion of healthy soil. This occurs when trees are removed from a landscape, leading to increased food insecurity. After that, forest role in climate mitigation and adaptation. The world's forests absorb 2.4 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year, which is one third of the annual carbon dioxide released from burning fossil fuels. Forest destruction emits further carbon into the atmosphere with 4.3 to 5.5 GT carbon dioxide equivalent per year generated annually, largely from deforestation and forest degradation. Protecting and restoring this vast carbon sink is essential for mitigating climate change. Forests also play a crucial role in climate change adaptation efforts. They act as a food safety net during climate shocks, reduce risks from disasters like coastal flooding, and help to regulate water flows and microclimate. Improving the health of these forest ecosystems and introducing sustainable management practices increase the resilience of human and natural systems to the impact of climate change. How deforestation and forest degradation is playing role? Deforestation and forest degradation are the biggest threats to forest worldwide. Over half of the tropical forests worldwide have been destroyed since 1960s, and every second more than 1 hectare of tropical forest is destroyed or drastically degraded. The degradation and loss of forest threaten the survival of many species and reduces the ability of forest to provide essential services. Deforestation and forest degradation impact the lives of 1.6 billion people whose livelihood depends on forest, out of which 1 billion of them are among the world's poorest community. Nature-based solutions such as forest landscape restoration (FLR) can reverse the effects of deforestation and degradation and regain the ecological, social, climatic and economic benefits of forests. Deforestation is a particular concern in tropical rainforest because these forests are home to much of the world's biodiversity. For example, in the Amazon, around 17% of the forest has been lost in the last 50 years, mostly due to forest conversion for cattle ranching. Deforestation in this region is particularly rampant near more populated areas, roads and rivers, but even remote areas have been encroached upon when valuable mahogany, gold and oil are discovered. A major contributor to tropical deforestation is the practice of slash and burn agriculture or swidden agriculture, which is also called as shifting agriculture. Small scale farmers clear forest by burning them and then grow crops in the soil fertilized by the ashes. Typically, the land produces for only a few years and then must be abandoned and new patches of forest burned. Fire is also commonly used to clear forest in Southeast Asia, tropical Africa, and the Americas for permanent oil palm plantations. Now we will study about the causes of deforestation. The causes are classified in two types. First is direct causes and second indirect causes. Under direct causes there are various factors like expansion of farming land or conversion to agriculture. Second is logging and fuel wood. After that, other plantations in forest areas were involved many forests. After deforestation there are planting of oil palm. Then constructions like dams, canals and reservoirs, which are becoming one of the reason for deforestation. After that, wildfires, which are damaging the forest, after which it is converted to other purposes as non-forest area or agriculture or some urban development or industrialization. Other factors are like forest floods, which are causing deforestation, mining, oil extraction activities, shifting cultivation, urbanization and industrialization, and livestock or overgrazing in forest lands. Some other causes is tourism development in protected areas, poorly planned infrastructure in forest lands, wars and military operations, and after that, air pollution. Second type of cause for forest deforestation is indirect causes, under which first is colonialism, which refers to the political control over forest for revenue and income generation. After that, exploitation by industrialized countries to use forest. Then, to overcome the debt burden, overpopulation and poverty, transmigration and colonization schemes, land rights, land tenure and inequitable land distribution and resources. After that, there are some economic causes like development, land conversion values, fiscal policies, market and consumerism. After that, undervaluing the forest and corruption and political causes. So these are the indirect causes which are affecting deforestation. Here to study the effects of deforestation. First one is climate change, under which there is increased greenhouse gas emissions and global warming. Deforestation is a contributor to global warming and is often cited as one of the major causes of the enhanced greenhouse effect. Deforestation and forest degradation are responsible for around 15% of all greenhouse gas emissions. These greenhouse gas emissions contribute to rising temperature, changes in pattern of weather and water, and an increased frequency of extreme weather events. Changes in climate can affect forest dwelling creatures by altering their habitats and decreasing availability of food and water. Some will be able to adapt by moving to higher elevations or latitude, but species losses may occur. Under climate change, second is disruption of water cycles. Trees play a key role in the local water cycles by helping to keep a balance between the water on land and water in the atmosphere. But when deforestation or degradation occurs, that balance can be thrown off, resulting in changes in precipitation, river flow, drought, flooding, desertification, and surface flow. Second type of effect is environmental effects, under which first one is increased soil erosion. Without trees to anchor fertile soil, erosion can occur and sweep the land into rivers. The agriculture plants that often replace the trees cannot hold onto the soil. Many of these plants, such as coffee, cotton, palm oil, soya bean, and wheat, can actually exacerbate soil erosion. Means this crop can promote or become susceptibility to soil erosion. Scientists have estimated that a third of the world's arable land has been lost through soil erosion and other types of degradation since 1960s. And as fertile soil washes away, agriculture producers move on, clearing more forest and continuing the cycle of soil loss. Second environmental effect is flooding. Without forests, the soil erodes and washes away, causing farmers to move on and perpetuate the cycle. The barren land which is left behind in the wake of these unsustainable agriculture practices is then more susceptible to flooding, specifically in coastal regions. And third effect is degradation into wastelands, and fourth is drought. Other environmental effects of deforestation is reduced biodiversity and loss of habitat. Deforestation on a human scale results in decline in biodiversity, and on a natural global scale is known to cause the extinction of many species. The removal or destruction of areas of forest cover has resulted in a degraded environment with reduced biodiversity. One of the most dangerous and unsettling effects of deforestation is the loss of animal and plant species due to their loss of habitat. 70% of land animals and plant species live in forest. Not only does deforestation threaten species known to us, but also those unknown. The trees of the rainforest that provide shelter for some species also provide the canopy that regulates the temperature. Deforestation results in a more drastic temperature variation from day to night, much like a desert, which could prove fatal for many inhabitants. Since the tropical rainforests are the most diverse ecosystem on Earth, and about 80% of the world's known biodiversity could be found in tropical rainforest, removal or destruction of significant areas of forest cover has resulted in a degraded environment with reduced biodiversity. A study in Brazil has shown that deforestation also removes the microbial community which is involved in the recycling of nutrients, the production of clean water, and the removal of pollutants. Third type of effects are effects of deforestation on indigenous people, under which there will be disrupted livelihoods. 1.25 billion people around the world rely on forest for shelter, livelihood, water, fuel, and food security, and 750 million people, approximately one-fifth of total rural population, live in forests. This includes 60 million indigenous people, but deforestation disrupts the life of these people, sometimes with devastating consequences. In the Greater Mekong in Southeast Asia, where land tenure systems are weak, deforestation has contributed to social conflict and migration. After that, there is disrupted health effects. According to World Economic Forum, 31% of emerging diseases are linked to deforestation. Fourth type of effects are economic impacts. According to the World Economic Forum, half of the global GDP is strongly or moderately dependent on nature. For every dollar spent on nature restoration, there is a profit of at least $9. Example of this link is the COVID-19 pandemic, which is linked to nature destruction and caused severe economic damage. Fifth type of impacts of deforestation is social consequences, which covers displacement of populations, after that job losses, poverty, tourism industry impact, and decreased availability of wood for cooking and heating. There is vast drastic impacts of deforestation and forest degradation, so we have to find out the solutions for the same. Like first one is responsible expansion of agriculture operations. To eliminate one of the largest drivers of deforestation, the irresponsible expansion of agriculture operations focusing on ensuring that agribusiness, governments, and other meet their commitment to help conserve the world's forests. Second is creating sustainable infrastructure. To address infrastructure related drivers of deforestation, we seek to influence the financing of roads, mines, and other infrastructure in the developing world, largely by ensuring that the value of forests are factored into decisions about where to create or expand infrastructure. Third is creating and properly managing conservation areas. Most conservation areas, most which are parks that are referred to as protected areas, are not well funded. As a result, they are not well managed, an issue that often leads to deforestation. One way to address this challenge is to use a financially approach for conservation known as project finance for permanence. Through this approach, donors from the public and private sectors contribute money to create a fund that will support the proper management of protected areas in a region. Some of the funding can also be used to create new protected areas and expand existing ones, but the majority of funding is for management. Fourth measure is promoting sustainable bioenergy. Humans have used forest for fuel for thousands of years, and 2.6 billion people today still use biomass, mainly wood and charcoal, for cooking. Systems should work to promote bioenergy from scrap wood, oil and fats, sugar and starch crops, residues and wastes, and even algae to reduce reliance on forest and decrease greenhouse gas emissions. Vision should be that by 2050, 100% of the world energy should come from sustainable, renewable sources, including bioenergy. Fifth measure is influencing policy. Effective policies help stop deforestation. There is need to assess the value of natural resources and the services they provide, such as forests that absorb carbon and provide habitat for endangered wildlife. Decision makers use the assessment in a variety of ways, including promoting a green economic approach, one in which the sustainable use of natural capital is integrated into a country's new plans and policies for the economy, agriculture, energy, and more. Sixth measure is a solution to deforestation is forest landscape restoration (FLR). Nature-based solutions such as forest landscape restoration can help countries reverse the effects of deforestation and degradation and regain the ecological, social, climatic and economic benefits of forest. FLR brings people together to identify and implement the most appropriate restoration interventions in a landscape. It seeks to accommodate the needs of all land users and multiple land usage. Forest landscape restoration is not just about planting tree. It can include multiple activities like agroforestry, erosion control and natural forest regeneration. Forest landscape restoration also addresses the underlying drivers of forest loss. For example, it provides farming communities living in and around forest with knowledge on sustainable agriculture methods that do not rely on destroying forests. As a conclusion, we can summarize that there are some strategies which to be adopted to reduce deforestation, like reduce population growth and increase per capita income, reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, increase the area and standards of management of protected areas, increase the area of forest permanently reserved for timber production, increase the perceived and actual value of forests, promote sustainable management, encouraging substitutes, increase area of forest plantations, strengthen government and non-government institutions and policies, participatory forest management and rights, support and reforms, increase investment in research, education and extension, improve the information base and monitoring, policy, legislative and regulatory measures, enforcement and compliance, spread the awareness about sensitization and organize educative campaigns about the effects of deforestation. So if we are following all measures, awareness programs, policies and everything, definitely we can reach positive goals to safeguard the forest and stop deforestation and forest degradations. So this presentation was all about deforestation and its impacts. Hope this will be very useful to all of you. Now my presentation ends here. Thank you very much. I have given here my YouTube channel details, Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedbacks. Thank you.